right there. Biden grew. Wait, I thought we were saying he already died. No, we were saying he was in hospice. But then he's taller than everybody now. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters because truth conquers. There's been a lot of noise of conservatives on Twitter especially going after these stories and sharing these stories that are either likely not true or just not true at all when their time could be better invested in pursuing actual truth. A lot of people on Twitter, even notable accounts that maybe you and I collectively follow, they don't necessarily have journalistic integrity with regard to truth. If they see something, they get intrigued by it, they'll spread it as though it's true without having more confirmation if it's actually true. And then I think a second thing that happens is people get rewarded for spreading a bunch of false stuff because if they're a first mover on it, like, hey, Biden's, he's already in hospice. Remember that one going around? Or look at this height difference. If you're one of the first movers spreading that around, you're going to get the dopamine hits and the little kind of social credit score of a lot more traction on Twitter. And then there's confirmation bias. So what's the bias that a lot of people are looking to confirm that has conservatives being wrong a little too much on Twitter, in my opinion? We all know Biden, his people, his administration, the government, big tech, deep state, they're always trying to deceive us, right? So when you see something like, here's Biden 6 inches taller than he used to be, that confirms, oh, they switched Biden now. They're trying to pull one over on us again. They're always trying to deceive us. And without knowing if that's actually true, we can latch onto that as though it is true because it confirms our bias that they are always out deceiving us. Here's the danger. When you're a truth seeker, you know, well, the narrative isn't going to be what I believe. But if you're not careful, you can just be defiant to the narrative or have your confirmation bias lead you in the opposite direction. And you can have the illusion that you're a free thinker and that you're pursuing truth because you're going in the opposite direction of the narrative. But that doesn't mean you're actually going in the direction of truth. Here's the narrative. Here's defiance to the narrative. The truth is oftentimes like in the space in between. So let's take a look at some of the hot stories that I've seen conservatives getting wrong on Twitter. A lot of these I was almost retweeting. I had to pump the brakes until like, all right, let me find some other correlations here. So one of the ones last week, someone wrote Biden's resignation letter from the campaign. You know, this is going around. Breaking a verified source. Hopefully that source has been fired. A verified source has informed the global press team that Joe Biden is currently in hospice care and is unlikely to survive the night. This and other things like it were going all around. And again, it's not far-fetched. It would be very believable if he's in hospice care. But there is just so much noise, and that doesn't mean it's true. And then things like this. One of the last known videos of Biden alive, look at how slow he's walking up the steps. Yeah, no newsflash here. Is Joe Biden dying? Is he already dead? What are they hiding? Well, they're hiding a lot. But apparently he's still alive. But there were a lot of other rumors floating around. And then one of my favorites, this has just been going around like wildfire. Biden makes his first appearance in a week or so. People are like, well, dude, he resigned from the campaign and he hasn't been seen. Like, cool, it must be dead, right? Well, no, it makes a lot of sense. If he resigns from the campaign, that's like an act of shame. So go into hiding. You don't show yourself because you just did a shameful thing. You're not good enough to run. You had to admit it. You stepped down. It makes sense that he's not going to be seen. And by the way, before they started throwing him under the bus by giving him exposure time on camera during the debate and the interviews afterwards, because they were like, okay, now the playbook says we need to portray him as he actually is, not mentally fit. So before that, you almost never saw Biden. They were hiding him. But this one... He makes his first appearance out kind of in public after he resigns. He's been hiding or whatever. He hasn't been seen for a few days. And dear God, look at this. This must be a body double. Look how much taller Joe is than Jill. Didn't always used to be this way. Look at this old picture of Joe and Jill on the right. His chin goes up to her nose. Wow, look at that convincing red line. And then in this recent picture, his chin is above her head. Look at this convincing red line, people. We'll get back to the video in a second, but first I want to tell you about Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses. There's nothing more valuable valuable to me than great energy. But you're never going to have great energy unless you're sleeping well. And honestly, you're never going to sleep to your fullest potential if you're bathing in blue light at night up until the time you go to bed. And I've been using the Boncharge blue light blocking glasses for over 4 years. Why? Because they work and I feel a noticeable difference. Here's how they work. I put them on a couple hours at night before I go to bed, which shields me from the blue light that would otherwise be telling my body it's daytime, keep your awakening hormones up and keep your sleep hormones down. But here's the problem. A couple hours before bed, your sleep hormones should start to elevate, your awakening hormones should start to decline. So instead of bathing in blue light from the lights, screens all around you, then you get in bed and then that process starts. You put on a pair of blue light blocking glasses a couple hours before bed and it starts when it's supposed to. And I find I get to sleep much faster, I sleep deeper, and I wake up the next day with much better energy. And another go-to tool of mine so that I can have great energy is the Boncharge Blackout Sleep Mask. If I'm needing to sleep in the morning after the sun is already up or I'm taking naps throughout the day, the Blackout Sleep Mask is the only thing that makes it possible for me to do it. So if you want to easily get the best quality of sleep you can so that you can have the best energy possible, go to boncharge.com/jpreacts and pick yourself up a pair of blue light blocking glasses and the Blackout Sleep Mask. And use the discount code JPReacts to get 15% off everything Boncharge offers. Enjoy. I love them. Back to the video. And then let's see the video of it. Wow. The body double. Maybe, but probably not. Okay, snap the photos. The only explanation here is he's a lot taller than he used to be, therefore it's a body double, right? Let's be free thinkers here, and part of free thinking means we have to think. Look at where Jill is standing relative to Biden. Jill is behind Biden. Look at the camera angle. That camera is lower than Biden, so he's naturally going to look taller because of the camera angle. Then Jill is standing behind Biden. He will look even taller than her because of the depth of perception. She is further back from the camera than he is. I even saw Alex Jones push this narrative. He's right about almost everything, but I don't think he was right about this. As free thinkers, we have to also do thinking, not just confirmation bias. Because if we're just doing confirmation bias, we're not a free thinker. Our thinking becomes controlled by our appetite to just confirm our bias. Because if you look at a photo of Joe Biden standing on the same horizontal plane as Jill Biden, his chin is level with her nose. But if you look at a photo on the left of Biden standing on a different plane, depth perception is different. Of course his chin is taller than it used to. Of course it goes up to her head. There could be trees behind me. If I was outside filming this video, there could be trees 100 yards behind me. Camera is a little lower than me and I am way more forward relative to the camera than the trees are. I would appear taller than a tree. Now you can go on Twitter and be like, dude, JP, that body double, this guy, he must be like 33 feet tall. He's taller than those trees. Look at that. Do a little thinking on some of this, people. And then the height narrative. It continues when Netanyahu came to the White House. Here we see, wow, they're both 6 foot tall. Why the hell is Biden, what is he, 6'6"? The body double. The real Biden's not alive. Well, look at his feet placement. Look at Netanyahu's feet placement. They are not even close to standing on the same horizontal plane. But God bless it, look at these red lines in the photos, people. I can't tell you how convincing these red lines are. Look, the lines to the top of their heads and then their shoulders. And now look at these red lines that someone put here in Photoshop. They're in different spots. And presumably Biden, it really looks like he is closer to the camera in this picture. These red line kind of things are weirdly convincing. It convinces people, I don't need to think about this. Someone went to the trouble of putting bold red lines in this photo. This is something I've seen in like conspiratorial photos. I say that as a proud conspiracy theorist. Photos are just crap. They don't show anything, but there's convincing red lines and so many conspiratorial photos. So much so it's something I routinely do in my videos when I'm parodying a conspiracy theory. A little while ago, I made a video in light of Candace Owens coming out, staking her reputation on her claim that the French First Lady is actually a man. I made a parody video about Candace Owens making the claim Candace Owens is a man. Watch how I use the red lines. Really convincing.
When you look at Candace's cheek and zoom in and look at just a small section of her cheek, and then compare it to this cheek,
What do you see?
Looks pretty similar, right? Well, that's a man cheek.
You can see it's such a dumb ploy that I'm using it in the dumbest way possible because this capitalizes on the dumbest part of people's brains. Wow, big, bold red arrow pointing to a desk while circling her, literally trying to prove nothing other than doing a parody on the stupidity of being leveraged, having our thinking leveraged by bolded red lines. And then another one that's going around a lot, I have seen no confirmation to make me believe this is true. The would-be Trump assassin, may he rest in hell, is a transgender. Because we see these photos and, oh my gosh, that's him at 16 and this is him now. This is going around and I actually don't believe it. It's convenient. It would confirm my bias, like a mentally ill person and the left is doing this and we want them to look bad. But based on what I've seen, I have no convincing evidence. I mean, put in a red arrow here on the picture of the right and maybe I'll believe it. So these are some of the things I think conservatives are getting wrong. And I don't say any of this because I think we need to let up on calling out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants. I don't say this because I think we need to believe the narrative. I say this because we need to pursue truth. And when we see noise that's just floating around from people that maybe were too quick on the trigger finger on Twitter, maybe they just didn't care to confirm if something's likely to be true or not because they get the Twitter traction and they're just going after that, or they were misled, kind of drunken on their confirmation bias, that creates noise. And if that's not true, that's what we're focusing on. That is distracting us from pursuing the actual reality of any given time and situation. So I point all this out because I want you and I to be as free thinkers as possible. And confirmation bias is something that robs us of our own free thinking. With that said, I look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, stay free.